right, Aries, let's get into your reading. So, the energy that I have for you today is this, and it carries real weight. This person has finally opened their mouth to a third party, and they admitted everything out loud. They looked at that third party directly, and they confessed that they are genuinely in love with you. That admission alone shifts the entire direction of what is building between you and this person today. Nothing about this connection stays quiet anymore after words like that leave the lips for real. When a confession reaches outside ears, it means the emotion has outgrown the private space it lived in. Let us come in close today, because the cards are confirming every single piece of this message. You do not pull the lovers by accident. It arrives when two people share something undeniably deep. The lovers confirms that what exists here is not casual, and it never was meant to be. There is a spiritual thread woven between you that neither time nor distance could ever break apart. This card holds mirror energy, meaning both of you carry the exact same feelings in your chest. Recognition hit them in a place they could not ignore, and holding the truth felt impossible. What the lovers also reveals is that this connection operates on a level most people never reach. It is not built on convenience. It is built on a frequency that vibrates beneath every interaction. They felt that vibration every single day, and eventually it became louder than their ability to suppress. Going to that third party was not a casual conversation over coffee or a passing comment either. It was a deliberate unburdening where they sat down and laid their whole emotional truth on display. They chose to speak your name with full awareness that those words cannot be taken back ever. Next up is the Knight of Cups, and this one deepens the entire reading even further. He moves with intention and does not chase feelings unless those feelings have consumed him completely inside. His energy tells me this person has been carrying a devotion they could barely contain within themselves. Every quiet moment spent alone reminded them of exactly what your presence does to their emotional world. The Knight of Cups does not show up for shallow infatuation. He arrives for love that reshapes. A tipping point arrived for them, where silence felt heavier than the vulnerability of speaking up. Telling that third party was not random. It was the overflow of feelings they could no longer hide. What pushed them over the edge was realizing that pretending felt more painful than the risk itself. Their heart demanded an outlet, and that third party became the first witness to a truth long buried. Every wall they built around that love came crashing down the moment honesty replaced their fear of rejection. The courage alone tells you everything, because cowards do not confess love to outside ears willingly. Then we have the Ace of Swords, and this card brings the clarity that ties this entire reading. The Ace of Swords represents a breakthrough, a moment where fog lifts and the mind finally sees clearly. For this person, that breakthrough was the realization that they cannot live without telling the full truth. Mental clarity arrived in a rush, and with it came the undeniable knowing that you are the one. Before this card arrived in their energy, doubt still had a grip on how they process things. The Two of Wands closes this section, placing this person right at a deliberate and honest crossroads. Once you confess love to another living person, there is no reversing that, and they know it. What it reveals is unmistakable. They stand at the edge, aware their next move is toward you. Cards like this do not appear for people who are uncertain about what their heart truly wants. It arrives for those who already decided and now carry the courage to back that decision up. They are no longer debating their feelings. They are standing firm in a truth that reshaped everything. Now, let us go deeper into this because there is a whole layer here that belongs to you. Before anything outside of you shifts, the cards want to speak directly to where you stand today. The first card on your side is the Queen of Cups, and she holds your exact frequency. You sat with emotions that most people would crumble under, and yet you remained quietly composed throughout. There is a stillness inside of you that does not come from numbness, but from earned emotional intelligence. The Queen of Cups confirms that your heart stayed wide open even when closing it felt much safer. Choosing vulnerability over protection tells me everything about the kind of depth you carry within your spirit. Loving at this level has not been comfortable. It has asked you to feel without guaranteed return. Every emotion processed in those silent hours built a reservoir of strength you never gave yourself credit for. Confusion never poisoned the way you see love, and absorbing that pressure takes extraordinary patience from within. This card does not represent weakness at all. She represents mastery over emotion instead of running from it. Your intuition has been sharp lately, almost too accurate for your own comfort, if we are being honest. Shifts were sensed before they materialized, and energy changed in rooms before a single word was even spoken. That inner knowing kept you grounded, even when the logical mind worked overtime trying to talk you down. Next, we pull the moon, and this card validates everything your gut has been whispering for a while. The moon sits in the space between knowing and proving, and you lived in that tension every day. Part of you already understood what was happening, but without confirmation, it felt impossible to fully trust yourself. Doubt crept in during the quiet hours, asking whether your instincts were wishful thinking or actual perception. What the moon tells me is that you carried that uncertainty gracefully, without forcing or abandoning the feeling. Hope and doubt were held at the same time, and neither one was allowed to consume you entirely. That emotional balance is rare, and the cards recognize it as a sign of maturity most overlook. Your dreams may have been vivid recently, pulling themes from places your waking mind refused to explore. Subconscious messages arrived steadily through songs and through moments of sudden, overwhelming clarity out of nowhere at all. None of those signals were random. Every single one of them carried legitimate spiritual information meant for you. You trusted your own perception when nobody else could confirm it, and that loyalty to self matters deeply. Not knowing has been heavy on you, but you wore that weight with a grace most never manage. Clarity is arriving in pieces now, and each piece validates what your spirit understood before your mind. Then we have the Nine of Pentacles, and this card speaks to who you are standing here today. Something meaningful was built within yourself, a sense of worth that does not depend on external validation. Your independence is not a wall, it is a garden cultivated through seasons of intentional self-respect. Nine of Pentacles shows me that wholeness was chosen before anything else, and it radiates from you constantly. That glow is magnetic, and it reaches places you do not always see for yourself in the mirror. Arriving at this moment was not accidental. Every lesson absorbed and every boundary honored brought you right here. The stillness you carry is not emptiness at all. It is fullness that chose patience over quiet desperation. Emotionally, you stand in a position of genuine readiness, not because completion is needed from outside sources. Readiness came from the internal work, and every card pulled on your side confirms that undeniable, sacred truth. Nothing about where you stand was given to you. It was earned through every silent night you survived. Your emotional foundation is unshakable now, and the cards see a version of you that finally trusts herself. Whatever unfolds from here, know that your side of the energy is clean and rooted in genuine love. The cards honor the journey you walked alone, and every ounce of patience invested is about to matter. Okay, let us go into it because now the cards are shifting entirely onto their side of things. Their side of this reading carries its own gravity, completely separate from anything laid out before this. Their internal world has been chaotic, overwhelmed, and running on a frequency they never anticipated feeling this deeply. The first card I pulled on their side is the Ten of Cups, and it reveals their motive. What drives this person underneath every action is a vision of emotional fulfillment they cannot shake loose. The Ten of Cups tells me they picture a life where love is not something they chase anymore. They crave permanence, stability, and a bond that feels like arriving home after decades of wandering alone. That craving is not surface level. It lives in the marrow of who they are at their core. Loneliness wore a mask for years, and behind it sat a desperate hunger for something genuine and lasting. The Ten of Cups confirms they have already assigned you to that vision without ever saying it directly. In their mind, this connection is not a chapter. It is the entire story they want written permanently. That mental placement happened gradually, over time, and through moments they replayed when nobody else was watching. They memorize details about you that most people overlook, and each detail cemented the image even further. Their inner world revolves around a version of the future where you exist permanently beside them in it. Next card coming through is the Emperor, and this shifts the energy toward how they process internally. The Emperor represents structure, control, and the need to maintain composure, even when emotions are screaming underneath. Managing their feelings with an iron grip has been the default because vulnerability terrifies them at primal depth. Admitting love to that third party cracked the armor they spent years carefully constructing around their chest. Holding power in every room is their default, and leading has been their way of staying emotionally protected. Love dismantled that authority entirely and left them standing in unfamiliar territory without a blueprint to follow. Their need for control clashed directly with the chaos of genuine emotion, and the emotion won completely. That internal war has been exhausting because surrendering to feeling contradicts everything their protective nature was built on. They fought the confession for months, talking themselves out of it and then right back into it again. The Emperor confirms that telling the third party was not impulsive, but calculated after agonizing internal debate. Every word spoken in that confession was rehearsed and revised inside their head dozens of times before delivery. Then we have the Seven of Cups, and this card opens the door to their deepest hidden fears. Seven of Cups shows me their mind flooded with possibilities that range from hopeful to genuinely terrifying. One scenario plays where everything aligns perfectly, and the next scenario plays where rejection destroys them from within. They bounce between those extremes daily, unable to settle on which outcome feels most likely to unfold. Fear of losing you entirely has haunted their thoughts more than the fear of being emotionally exposed. The Seven of Cups confirms that their imagination runs wild with both the best and worst case endings. Insecurity sits right beside their confidence, and the tension between those two forces created the confession itself. They told that third party because the internal pressure reached a volume that silence could no longer contain. Speaking it aloud was not relief alone, it was an attempt to make the feeling real outside themselves. Their motive is pure, tangled in fear, and built on a foundation of love that consumed every thought. Their emotional landscape is a battlefield where longing and self protection wage war every single waking hour. Beneath the composed exterior lives a person who replays conversations and imagines outcomes too frightening to voice. The depth of their internal experience would stagger most people if they could witness even half of it. Nothing about their inner world is simple right now, and the cards confirm they are in it completely. So let us see what the cards are showing today because the energy just shifted into pure movement. Everything internal has already been covered, and now the reading moves into what is actively happening around you. First card in this section is the Eight of Wands, and it confirms that things are accelerating fast. Messages are in motion right now, traveling through channels that have not been open until very recently. The Eight of Wands represents rapid communication, and the pace of contact is about to increase noticeably. Texts that were drafted and deleted are now being sent without the usual hesitation that blocked them before. Conversations that stalled for weeks are picking back up with a revitalized urgency that was not there previously. Eight of Wands tells me plans are forming and logistics are being quietly arranged behind the scenes now. Schedules are being checked, availability is being calculated, and the groundwork for a meeting is already underway. This card does not bring slow energy. It brings the kind of momentum where everything happens at once. Phone calls may replace texts soon because the written word is no longer enough to carry the weight. Voice-to-voice contact is part of what this card pushes forward, and that shift matters significantly. A door that felt sealed for months is cracking open, and neither side is pushing it shut again. Travel energy also shows up here, meaning physical distance between the two of you is about to shrink. Whether that means a drive across town, a train ride, or a deliberate visit, the movement is literal. The gap between digital and physical presence is actively closing, and the cards confirm that timeline is near. Information is also flowing through mutual circles, and people around both of you are noticing the shift clearly. Third parties are becoming aware of what is building, and that awareness creates its own kind of pressure. Next card pulled is the Chariot, and this confirms that deliberate forward action is already in progress. Chariot energy does not represent wishful thinking. It represents a person who has grabbed the reins and moved. Decisions are being made with clarity and speed, and those decisions all point in one single direction only. Obstacles that previously manufactured delays are being navigated around with a focus that was missing just weeks ago. What the Chariot tells me is that this person has committed to a course with no turning back. Plans are not being discussed anymore. They are being executed with the kind of determination that transforms outcomes. Appointments may be set, reservations may be made, and a timeline is forming that involves both of you. Willpower has replaced hesitation entirely, and every step taken from this point forward carries only forward momentum. Roadblocks that once felt permanent are dissolving because the force behind this movement is stronger than any resistance. Then we have the Six of Wands, and this card brings confirmation that the actions taken will land. Recognition is part of what materializes next, meaning the effort being made will not go unnoticed or wasted. The Six of Wands represents triumph after effort, and the steps being taken right now lead to results. Public acknowledgement of the connection is part of what this card brings into the physical timeline moving forward. What was once private is becoming visible, and that visibility carries momentum, pulling everything into the open. Six of Wands tells me the actions happening now are not small gestures, but significant and deliberate moves. Grand efforts are replacing cautious ones, and the scale of what is coming matches the magnitude of intent. Delayed reach-outs from previous months are now being initiated with a confidence that did not exist before. The physical timeline is compressing rapidly, and what felt distant last week now feels imminent and close. Actions speak louder than intentions, and this reading confirms that the action phase has fully and officially begun. Momentum has officially taken the wheel, and every card pulled in this position confirms that movement is irreversible. Now, let us go ahead and dive into this because what the cards hold here is deeply private. This section does not belong to movement. It belongs to confessions this person has never spoken out loud. First card revealing their hidden truth is the High Priestess, and she guards what lives beneath all words. The High Priestess tells me this person carries desires so intimate that vocalizing them feels almost dangerous. They fantasize about waking up beside you not once, but every single morning for the rest of time. That image plays on repeat inside their mind, and it has become the backdrop of their entire existence. Domestic scenes haunt them in the softest way, cooking together and laughing over nothing in a shared kitchen. They imagine tracing your face with fingertips, memorizing lines and angles they already know from a distance. Closeness is what they crave at the deepest level, not physical alone, but the kind that erases boundaries. The High Priestess confirms they rehearsed conversations that they are terrified to ever actually have with you. In those rehearsals, they tell you everything, every buried feeling and every quiet wish they swallowed for months. Confessions pour out in the mirror and the shower, in half-awake moments right before sleep takes over. Words flow freely inside those private spaces, but the second reality returns, their jaw locks completely shut. What they told that third party was barely a fraction of what actually circulates inside their chest daily. The real confession is 10 times heavier, loaded with vulnerable admissions they have never risked exposing to anyone. Next card drawn is the King of Cups, and this reveals the emotional confession they guard most carefully. King of Cups tells me they secretly want to be your protector and your safe landing in storms. Their hidden desire is not just romantic, it extends into wanting to be the person you depend on. Absorbing your difficult days is something they picture holding space for frustrations and never once making you small. That protective instinct lives so deep inside them that admitting it would expose a softness they rarely show. Beneath the composed exterior lives a hunger to be needed by you in the most fundamental, simple ways. They want to be the name you call first when the world overwhelms and nothing else feels steady. King of Cups confirms they carry a secret fear that their depth of devotion might frighten you away. Loving this intensely feels abnormal to them because nobody taught them that feeling this much was acceptable. They question whether the magnitude of their attachment is something beautiful or something revealing too much weakness. That internal conflict between desire and shame has kept the fullest version of their confession locked behind teeth. Every time they almost said it directly, a wave of self-doubt crashed in and silenced the impulse. Then we have the Five of Swords, and this card exposes the confession they will likely never volunteer. The Five of Swords tells me they blame themselves for every delay and missed opportunity to speak sooner. Guilt sits beside their love constantly, whispering that they waited too long and damaged something deserving of urgency. Internally, they confess that cowardice kept them frozen, and that recognition stings worse than any rejection ever could. Regret over wasted time is the heaviest secret they carry, and the one protected with the most armor. Five of Swords confirms they bargain with themselves nightly, promising that tomorrow will finally be the turning point. Their deepest unspoken admission is that losing you terrifies them more than any failure they have ever faced. That terror is not dramatic at all. It is a quiet, persistent dread sitting in their stomach constantly. What reached that third party was merely the surface layer of an ocean still too vast to name. Confessing to that third party was a pressure valve release for a love that threatened to consume them. Naming it out loud to another human was the closest they could get to telling you without risk. No other person occupies this space in their mind, and no other connection carries this gravitational pull. The hidden truth beneath every hidden truth is simply that you are the only thing that makes sense. Okay, let us go ahead and get into it because this final section brings everything into clear focus. The near future is where the cards point now, and what they reveal carries a promising direction. First card closing this reading is the Star, and she confirms that healing and alignment are approaching. Next phase of this connection moves into restored hope, where communication opens in ways that feel effortlessly unforced. Exchanges that felt blocked or incomplete are about to shift into honesty that replaces every guarded moment. That shift will not arrive with drama. It will arrive with a quiet certainty that disarms both sides. The next few weeks carry alignment energy, where timing finally cooperates with what the heart already decided. The walls between vulnerability and expression are thinning, and neither side will resist that process any longer. A conversation is forming on the horizon, one carrying the weight of everything that has been building. The star confirms emotional renewal as the theme, and the energy between you enters a softer chapter. Next, we have the Ace of Cups, and this card seals the near future with new emotional beginnings. Ace of Cups represents a fresh overflow of feeling, arriving at the exact moment both hearts are ready. An offering is coming toward you, carrying sincerity that you can feel before a single word is spoken. This card confirms the love confessed to the third party is preparing to be confessed directly to you. The timing of that direct confession aligns with the window where both of you are emotionally open. Ace of Cups does not bring recycled energy. It brings something brand new, despite the long, shared history. Here is my advice for you as we close this reading and bring everything together in one place. Stay grounded in the patience that brought you here, because rushing this final stretch could interrupt timing. Trust what your intuition has been telling you, and do not let outside opinions override your inner compass. When that conversation arrives, lead with honesty and meet their vulnerability with the same openness you expect. Protect your peace throughout this process, because even beautiful transitions require boundaries to stay healthy and balanced. Do not abandon your standards for reunion, because the right connection will honor every boundary you set. Remain open without becoming desperate, and let the energy meet you exactly where you have planted yourself firmly. You earned this moment through patience and trust, and the universe does not waste that kind of devotion. Let us now come back to the message that opened this entire reading and tie every piece together. The message today was this: they confessed to a third party that they are in love with you. Every card pulled today confirmed that message, from the first draw all the way through to the last. The Lovers showed the depth of the bond, and Knight of Cups revealed the devotion behind it. Mental breakthrough came through Ace of Swords, while Two of Wands placed this person at their crossroads. Queen of Cups honored your emotional strength, and the Moon validated every instinct you carried without proof. Nine of Pentacles celebrated the wholeness you built, standing tall before any outside completion arrived for you. Ten of Cups exposed their motive as permanent love, while the Emperor showed the control they fought. Seven of Cups revealed fears flooding their mind, and Eight of Wands confirmed acceleration was unmistakably underway. The Chariot drove deliberate action forward, while Six of Wands promised recognition for every effort being made. High Priestess guarded their deepest confessions, and King of Cups revealed the protective love buried